Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining Pendulum.
So Pendulum is a real-time game that uses the 3 egg timers, as you can see, that are dotted around the board. In essence, it's worker placement. So this is how the game is set up for 2 players to start with. If it was set up for 3 players, it wouldn't have these black markers in as a dummy player, just covering up some spots. If it's for a 4 or 5 player game, you're on the other side of this board. So what you're trying to do in the game is get these markers past this line. If you end the game like that, you're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. That would get you 4 points. So it's 1 point for every spot past this line that you get. If that is what your board looks like, you cannot win. In order for you to actually have victory, this marker has to have moved forward. And I'll talk about how to move that one forward in a moment. With the boards as they are at the moment, this player is the winner because he has got all 4 of his markers across the line. This player, even though he would have more points if you added them up, hasn't managed to get all 4 markers across the line, so therefore that player wins. If that's what it looks like, neither player has managed to get all of their markers across the line, so what you're now looking at is whoever's got the highest up points from the furthest back marker. So at the moment, this player has their furthest back marker further up than this player. If that's what it looked like, you'd be looking at the difference between this marker and this marker to see who's the winner. If they were even, you then go to the next marker up. So in that case, that player is the winner, etc. But it doesn't matter if you've got all of these guys across the line. If the grey one isn't up, you cannot win. So if that's what the boards look like at the end, that would be the winning player. Now that you know what you're trying to do, the question is, how do we get there? So the game works over 4 rounds. A round is until this has managed to knock these off. So in essence, what happens is when you turn a timer over, if you turn this one over, you knock this marker off the board. Once that timer's run out, you can then turn it over again and knock that one out. Once that timer's run out, you can then turn it over again and knock that out. At that point, no more egg timers are able to be turned. You are able to move your things around, and I'll talk about what that actually means in a moment, but that is the end of the round, and we go to a council phase, and I'll talk about that in a moment also. And once the council phase is finished, assuming this has run through, which it probably will have, we then start the next round and continue on. So that's the essence of the movement of stuff. The general rule is you have 2 guys to start with, a regular worker and a grande worker. The regular worker can only go on a space if there's no other workers on there. If there is a marking like this, it means that any number of workers can go onto those spots. So the whole idea of the game is that while there is an egg timer on a row that you have some guys on, you're only able to action those guys. And I'll talk about what that means in a moment. In order to place guys on rows or to remove guys from rows, they need to be on the place that your egg timer is not. At any point, assuming the egg timer has run all the way through, anyone is able to switch that over. At that point, anyone who's here can only move to the bottom and action what is in the picture on each of the things, but they can't actually take their guys off. However, theoretically, you've freed up some guys here, so you'd then be able to take them off and move them elsewhere. Each of the timers is slightly different length, so this is a 45-second timer, that's a 2-minute timer, and this one's a 3-minute timer. So these actions are going to happen way more than these actions. So let's run through what the actions are actually talking about. I'll start over on this board. So the purple board, you'll notice there's a cost, and that's on both of these boards worth, and anyone who's doing this particular action, there's a cost. So on these boards, it's a cost of 2 money. Money is these yellow markers. And by the way, there are only a maximum of 10 marker of each type. You cannot go over that. So if I had a guy here and this timer has been put on there, I can pay the 2 money to move down to one of these 2 spots. This spot means that I would get to action this area of my board. So I would get 5 of the blue cubes by using that particular spot. This one, if I was to use this, I move forward, 1 on the yellow line, 1 on the blue line, and I get 1 more voting token. And I'll talk about what they're important for in a moment. This one gives me what is in this bottom left corner, so that happens to be pushed forward 1 on the red track. You'll notice the second half of that is the same. So we move over to the green board. The green board is move forward 1 on the red track and get 2 voting tokens. Move forward 2 on the yellow track, and that is get what is in the red area, which is 4 red tokens. And that is also the same on the bottom. So coming down into this one, any number of workers may be placed on this area. And if you're playing a 4 or 5 player game, what is in each of the spaces may be slightly different. I haven't played on the other side of the board, but this will give you an idea of what's going on. So you can kind of work it out for yourself. So if you're here, it's not going to cost you anything to gain what is in the yellow, which at the moment is 2 money, or 2 of the yellow cubes. This one will gain you 1 more of the voting tokens. This one will gain you 1 of any of the 3 types of counter or resource of these 3. And this one is going to cost you 4 from your red tokens, so that's the defense, to take 1 of these cards. You are allowed to take the face down card from that pile, but it's your choice. What these cards mean when you take them is, say I take this one, you're looking at the background color of each of the areas. So there's 4 different areas, 4 different spots down here. If I were to place that card in there, what that's now saying is whenever I do this action, I would get the 2 money, I would also get 1 red cube. If I had that there and I did the purple action, I would get my 5 purple or blue cubes, and I would also get 3 of the red cubes. And you can see how that kind of adds up all the way along. Here you would get 6 of the red tokens, and here you would move forward 2 things on the blue spot whenever you were to take that action. You can, throughout the game, have as many as you like down there, but when you get to the end of a round, you must reduce yourself to a maximum of 2 on any one line. So you may want to use that to build up a whole bunch of things to get that really good thing, and then just reduce yourself back down, or you may wish to just get the 2 onto each spot. Once you've taken a card from here, it's very polite to replace it with 1 from there. You don't have to. The next person who comes to do that action will then flip the card over if it hasn't already been done so. So you've always got 4 to choose from. Other things that you can do that don't require these areas of the board that are on the timing is there is a space up here. So if you have 4 of the red markers, the defense, 4 in the blue markers, and 3 votes, according to this card, that would enable you to gain 1 red spot and 1 blue spot. Or, if that is still there, instead of taking the red and the blue, what I am able to do is take that token and hang on to it. What that token does is when I get to the council, I will trade that in to move my grey marker forward 1, and that now enables me to actually win. If you haven't done that by the end of the game, you cannot win the game, so please be aware of that. Notice on the 2-player game, it starts the game up there. On the 3 or higher player game, it starts there. So if someone's already taken that, everyone else who has the stuff to do that card must take the bottom thing. You're not paying the resource, you're just showing that you have the resource for what's in the top for those cards. You also have 4 cards. 3 of these cards are identical with everyone. So the first one is that can be turned in to gain 1 resource of your choice. So I might take money, it doesn't really matter, 1 of the 3 resource cubes. This one can be turned in to push your blue marker along 1. This can be turned in to enable you to take a guy even though the timer hasn't finished. So if I've got a guy there, say I've done the thing, but this time is still going, instead of having to wait, which I normally would have to, I could play that card, to now bring that guy over to somewhere else. And this card is the one that's different for everyone. So this is how you're going to get extra players onto your board. You'll notice there are 2 extra players, or 2 extra guys, should I say, in your bank off the side. So I spend 3 of these vote tokens to get 1 extra guy. If I don't wish to place him straight on the board, I can put him just here, or I can place him onto a spot. You can have a maximum of 4 guys running for the whole game. So there's 1 more guy down here that can be added. And that's pretty much what you're doing through the game. Now, when you get to the council phase, which is the 4th one of these, or when you're turning over and taking the last one of these ones off, which is actually only 3, of course, you've got a spot you're starting in. What the council phase looks like is whoever has the most of these voter tokens, so say he has 4, he would remove 4, and that would put him to the top on the voter track. The dummy player has 3, always has 3 by the way, and blue has none, so they would swap position. You then gain the reward, so the top guy gains 1 of those cards, plus 2 pushes forward on these lines. It doesn't have to be on the same track, it could be 1 there and 1 there, it doesn't really matter. As you come down, if this was an actual player, they would have 1 of those cards and 1 position forward, and the last one just has 1 of those cards. There are 3 different markings. This one is a card that's always going to be available, always going to be over there, but can only be taken once each council phase. And what that card means is that you can trade in 1 of your small guys for the grande guy. So someone else has previously placed a small guy, you can put your grande there. And the other player can also put their grande there, by the way. So that doesn't limit those ones. These cards with the lightning bolt in the top left corner is a one-off. So whoever takes this card will just once get 5 extra gold. And then there's the card with this star in the top corner. These ones are the ones that get added into your hand. So that would be added into my hand. When I play it, I would be able to play it to spend 2 of my gold cubes to move forward 1 on the yellow track. And that would also go there with the others. During this time, I'm allowed to place or move guys around you. So if I've got guys off the board, I can place them onto legal spots. If I've got guys sitting up here, I can move them to other spots. That's not a problem at all. Once that's all happened, a new one of these cards will come out, and also these cards will be replaced. Once that's all happened, these markers get put back on the board. We flip one of the things over and the game resumes for the second round. The only thing I haven't really covered is how to get these cards back up. The way to get it up is to spend 5 of the blue cubes, and everything that's in that pile then comes back into your hand and can be played again. So you can get more stuff straight away. I believe that that is everything. Just be aware that these cards will be replaced. So at the end of the council phase, any cards that aren't taken are replaced with these. This is an always card, by the way. You can just push forward on one of those things. When you get to the last round, these cards will come out, which give you some in-game bonuses. So it's worthwhile getting them as well. So I will leave it there. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games that you would like to be gamesplained, please shoot me an email to thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter @thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.